Welcome, citizens of Stanton. This week we have another interview. This time it's with one of the OG pro racers. Someone who has not only created tracks but dominated them too. Speedweed. If you like this type of content, stick around, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment below letting me know who else you'd like to see on the show. We are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers, so every little bit counts. Thank you so much for all the support so far. Now sit back, hit full screen, put the volume up, and enjoy. So, nice to sit down with you. Let's start at the top of the list. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Speedweed, or just Speed for short. I am 27 years old. I live in Hungary right now. That's where I was born as well. I work as an aircraft mechanic, and I am a quote-unquote professional Star Citizen racer.
That's freaking cool.
I guess you could say that.
What would you say is your daily ship right now, and which one was the first one you pledged to the store?
First one, you're ignoring the starter pack here, right? Or
no, I mean, if that was your first ship, that was your first ship.
Yeah. Well, I originally started out just with a normal Aurora MR starter package. I was kind of on the edge on, pledging to Star Citizen. I didn't really know much about it. I kind of didn't want to really watch any videos on it either, because I really just wanted to, go in blind, see it for myself. I actually played on one of the free flights a few months prior to actually pledging, and it was kind of a horrible experience. It was really just giving that tech demo vibe, but granted, I did have a pretty weak 10-year-old system at the time. But yeah, I just decided to jump in after Elite shed the bed with Odyssey DLC release. As many of us have been in that same boat. That's actually where a lot of the extra folk also came over from. Yeah, so Aurora, then the actual first pledge ship I owned was a Gladius, which I got from a friend that just gifted it to me for some reason. It's called Dr. Anrak. Shout out to that guy. He hasn't been on lately. Yeah, my daily, it kind of varies, I guess, from patch to patch. Right now, I find myself mostly flying my Origin 315P, just because it's gorgeous. It also has a lot of range, so I really don't have to fuel every now and again.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, after the exhibition race, I realized that even now, when I log in, my daily or my go-to has become the 315.
Yeah, right. It's a sweet little ship. There's a bunch of cargo bay as well.
How did you get into the racing scene, Star Citizen?
Well, when I first started playing, I was mostly hanging out in the Black Sky Legion Discord channel, which was also home for a news podcast on YouTube. That's where I also met Black Maze. And I started playing with him every now and again, and like 2 months or so later, he invited me to XGR. He just started it, and he was like, "Come race with us," and I'm like, "Okay." I was never really considering racing at all in this game. I knew they were racing ships, but I was like, "Okay, cool. They have no purpose, right?" But yeah, I told him, don't expect much from me. I guess I'll just hang out every now and again and stuff. But yeah, now we're here, I guess. He kicked out the first races on a new Babbage Metro loop, which was just a really basic slalom track at the time. And I couldn't really play because I was still on my ancient system. But a few months later, I got a new rig and some sticks and just jumped in, and that rush of adrenaline that you get from just racing in this game was something totally unexpected. It's like nothing comes close at
Oh, yeah.
all. It's just, yeah. I mean, I always, played some like arcade racing games like Need for Speed Underground, but I would never have said that, I'm a racer at heart or anything like that. But yeah, it just drew me in.
Getting drawn in like that into racing. Have you got it like a favorite ship or like a top 3 ships you like to race with?
To race with. First spot is definitely the Razor for racing, and I guess the M50 now with the new tunings comes in a close second. And for the third one, it's actually the Drake Cutter, believe it or not.
The little cutter is a racer?
The little Cutter, yeah. It's like, God, it's, racing is not always about fast ships or even anything optimal for racing. Anything can be fun. It's like, driving a little Miata, but it's just, instead of this literally tiny, weak, small car, it's this really heavy, weak, fat, rattly ship that has a VTOL. And it's actually stupid fun, like on places like the Snake Pit or some really, really tight purpose-made tracks for smaller or weaker ships like the MPUE. And the MPUE as well is really fun for racing too. It's just super weak, but that just means you have to fight it more and kind of figure out, what's the optimal way to pilot it.
I gotta say, like the cutter is my stage ship that I went with. And I like to call it my little magic school bus.
Yeah.
There's so many times where and I've got quite a few ships now that I bought in game, but there's lots of times where I still pull out the cutter to go and do things. It's a great little ship.
Yeah, it's like just a really mini RV, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I am actually planning on getting a pledge for it once there is a leak on 2 new variants coming out of it. One is a Scout and one is an Exploration variant.
Ooh.
And man, they look sweet. They have like these different spoilers too, and paint jobs, and different like engine models. Just it looks so sexy, dude.
I might just change my little starter one to one of those when it comes out, actually.
Yeah, definitely take a look at the Scout when it comes out. I think we might see it on this IAE.
Okay, next up. Which track, like racetrack, is your favorite? And it can be either an SCR one, or it can be one of the in-game ones, or an Arena Commander. Which one is your favorite, and which one are you actually the fastest on?
My favorite? I'm not good with favorites. I think my all-time favorite is probably XGR Club Track, which is now known as the Skyscraper. Yeah, it's just, sort of a tight track. It's kind of really dangerous too when you have other racers on it, especially when you have to take over other people. That's pretty much, I think, the track that I'm fastest on as well, but the track I am fastest on is always the track that I am practicing for when there's an upcoming race. But yeah, I'm one of those people that doesn't really run any time trials. I just can't be bothered, and I also kind of don't believe in that necessarily being good for an actual race. It does get you to be a better pilot, there's no doubt about that, but many people fall into this rabbit hole where there's this thing about racing with other people where if you're running your time trial pace on your time trial lines, going out to test that fastest line, where you are not considering other factors like other people actually running that same line at the same pace, or having to overtake people, and then you just suddenly get jolted out of your pace, and that's when disaster happens.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that.
And let me tell you, there's nothing worse than taking out someone else that's like innocent, just out of the pack, and it happens a lot.
At the exhibition race, I mean, when I was in there, I was like, oh my god, look at all these names. Like, there's huge name races in here. The worst thing that can happen is for me to crash into one of them.
Yeah, I would say though, like, don't worry about that. A lot of people have been saying that, you know, they don't want to come race because they are afraid exactly of that. Don't be. Just shit just happens. It doesn't matter.
It's
You
just
have
one of
to
those
race with
things that
others.
happens on track.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that happens on track, but the only way that you can get better is racing those races.
So speaking about races, you've created more than one racetrack on the SCR website. Can you tell us which ones you've made?
The first one I have made is Genesis Speedway, which is about like 25 clicks off of Area 18 in the other larger city cluster. That's actually where they have moved Skyscraper to as well. But it's a rather long track. It's, from what I hear, it's kind of hard to learn as well. But it's a good one, I would say. And the second one is in Orison, and it's called Australis Pinball, and it's a very different nature. It's a shorter circuit track, but it has these really closed. I'm not sure what, like claustrophobic, I guess. The gates and tunnels that you go through are a lot smaller than what you're normally used to on most other tracks. So you can't actually easily fit through in like larger shifts. So you can like get the 300 and the Mustang through just barely. So if you don't like shoot straight for the middle for the smaller gates, you're gonna clip something. And the cool thing about that though is that track feels incredibly fast even when you're flying a slow ship, because just your sense of speed being that close to structures is different than, you know, going to Icebreaker where it's all wide and open and huge. It's a different experience, and I think it came out pretty fun. People have been loving it so far.
So out of those two, which of those two is your favorite one to run? And can you tell me what went into creating that kind of experience where even you as the creator, that you say, this is my favorite, this is the one that I want to do?
I think it's definitely Australis, just because of the points I just made earlier. You can run it in a Razor, you can run it in, you know, like a Pisces or something, and it's still gonna feel pretty cool. For track curation, it's a lot more basic than you would think, at least when it comes to me. I usually just I pick a ship to begin with, like a specific racing ship that I want it to feel good on, like really good on, you know, at first. Then I just kind of head out. I look for a location that seems promising enough. You know, it just have like a vision for it, and you pick a start line, and then I just go from there. I start flying through sections, see how they feel. And if it feels good, I repeat that a few times, then go on, rinse and repeat for turn 2, 3, 4. And when I feel like I got something good enough and complete, I just, you know, note that down for myself as prototype 1. And then I will start inviting a few people here and there to run it with me, give some feedback, iron out any, you know, things that could not work well during an actual race, like crossovers and some turns that could feel better or more obvious to, you know, where you have to go. And then yeah, once it's good enough, I just put it together, make like a video for it, a track guide or something, a map, and just throw it onto SCR.
Have you ever had any surprises, like when it comes to your tracks? People that finished it way or set a time that's way faster than you thought would happen?
Oh, definitely. We were running Genesis Speedway, and I was like, yeah, I have no idea how to squeeze more time out of this thing. And then Playing Fox was running it, and he's like, oh, let me just shave off 10 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck? How did you do that? I was, you know, he recorded his run. And I'm like trying to repeat his movement, and I'm like, what? I have no idea what dude's doing, but I can't just turn the ship the same way, even though I'm running the same speeds, same turn rates and everything. It's just crazy. So some of the racers, that especially the ones, you know, that do trials, are just on some different kind of realm.
Yeah, they're just on a different level.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was having a look through your profile on SCR, and I saw that you recently won the Aurora Crux Cup, the Aurora division in the Crux Cup. Can you tell me about the race, like how it went for you? Did you prepare and practice for it? And like when going into the Crux Cup, what was your mental state going into that race?
Oh, this last Crux Cup. Oh man. Yeah, so this last one, I was not running it alone. I was in a team with Steve CC, and I would say that he's the one who really won it, because I was having some real bad luck that day. It was going all smooth and good until like about like 1/3 of the race, where I just suddenly had a 30k just myself.
Oh no!
Turned out I had like my fiber cable bent and broken half.
Oh no!
So yeah, I got back in, but you know, at that time I already lost way too much time, especially with walking back from Origin to the racetrack. It's crazy. And then I was just continuing to run it, and then like 10 minutes later, another racer ran into my back. It was like desync. He didn't even feel anything, and then just like jolted me into the wall of one of the struts, and boom. So I came in at a pretty bad spot. But yeah, it's as far as mental state, I'm not sure what you're thinking of. Normally, when I go through races, these bigger races are, you know, the nerves really get to you. Especially me, I have general anxiety, so I myself, I don't really care that much, but my brain is like, yeah, no, screw you, buddy. And some of these races are just, you know that you have stakes on the line, and then you know there are risks. You could just lose your life with one bad turn, or somebody else will screw up, and you know, once you hit something, it's over. One of a good example of that was the round 3 of the Stenton Cup, which I really screwed myself there. Actually, we were running the P72s on a New Babbage City Tour, and for round 2, the main 2, I forgot to refuel.
Oh no!
Actually, I think that might have been main 3. That doesn't matter. I don't remember. And I only noticed, you know, while I was halfway through the track, and like last lap, I noticed that I have like only a few pixels left in my gas tank. So I had to really slow down, just no boost, no nothing.
Oh.
And I was finally nearing the finish line. Before the last turn, another racer just went straight into me. We didn't see each other at all, and just boom, gone over. The shakes I had, like I was gripping my stick so hard, my whole body was shaking. I was like fucking gritting my teeth so hard, it was insane. I don't think I have ever had my heart rate go that high before. I was legit thinking I was getting a heart attack. I will say, some of these races might not be good for your heart. For real.
There's definitely some health risk involved.
Absolutely.
So would you say then that, and I know that this is a question that everybody asks, but is it the ship or is it the pilot that wins the race?
I might go off on a tangent here, I think. It's 100% the racer, always. It's, you know, let me look at my notes for a second, because it's just, that's such a loaded question. You know, it seems like a really simple one, but it really is not. I really should have made these notes a bit clearer. Holy shit, it's so bad. Yeah, so this question kind of started circulating a while ago. I think it was because of that Mirai ad for the Furial X.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can twist and turn and bob the question as much as you want, but you put 2 pilots in the same ship, and one of them will always come out on top solely because of the skills that they have. And everybody has a different set of skills. You know, some people have, so you know, some people will pick X turn differently than the other one, but then that same guy will take that next turn way better than the other person, have different boost strats, PVI management, all that. So you can tell, I could say that I could put, let's say, Splan in an MPUV on the Snake Pit, and I could put some Rookie in a P72, and I would guarantee you that Splan would come out on top, while the other guy might not even survive the race. Obviously, once we get, some proper ship tuning, your ship selection and specific tuning for the race will come into play as well. But I could also argue that how you tune that ship is also on the racer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Anybody that says that it's the ship is smoking that goofy pack, for real.
So, okay, tell me, what has racing and the Star Citizen racing scene and its community meant to you as a person, like on a personal level?
On a personal level, huh? Can you elaborate on that a bit?
I mean, everybody has their own life journey and their own challenges that they face. One thing I've picked up with the community in the racing scene is that everybody is super kind and welcoming, and a lot of people are prepared to go out of their way to welcome new players in and teach, show people the ropes, so to speak. What kind of experience have you had that has impacted you as a person? Like, what has racing meant to you?
Yeah, well, I'll say that, as I said earlier, I wasn't a racer by any means when I started off. And then, we started running these events. I started to get to know people in the community. And, I was slowly realizing that we have something special going on here. And to be totally honest, XGR to me was easily life-changing. And I'm not exaggerating that. I've been gaming for most of my life, and most of that was online. And never, ever have I come across such an amazing and helpful, kind of cooler set of people than here in Star Citizen. And this it's not something exclusive to the racing scene here. It's in general Star Citizen itself. It's the community here is just built different. Of course, we have some bad apples, but which place is not?
100%.
Yeah, when we started doing these races and stuff, the actual racing community itself did not really exist. Sure, there was the Demo Rally once a year, but that's like, a grand rally. And then Crux Cup was around, but as far as I know, they only also did like once a year an event. Before they were in Origin, they were in AC. But besides that, ship racing was in the PU just something that nobody was really doing. And it's just once we started kicking off things, people started pouring in, and we just made these imaginary tracks. Then Diplo, founder of SCR, huge shout out to that guy, has created the website for the time trial registrations, where you can view people's top times and watch their runs on YouTube. And that also really just added so much to the scene, where people can learn from each other, check out how they fly, what they do and why. And yeah, then CIG started to notice this, and then the Snake Pit got featured on one of the ISCs and then made it into the game. That was the first racing track in the PU. That was even before missions were a thing. Mm-hmm. It was just this location where the Snake Pit originally, it was just this empty canyon in the middle of nowhere, a few kilometers off of that outpost that Maze and Asashis found. And then this guy who worked for CIG, he was working for Turbulent, actually, in his free time. he put all those assets there and then put it into the next patch. I think it was 0.17.
That's awesome.
3.17.2. Yeah. And then I think not too long after that, they also made more tracks. They put more 4 tracks into the FEU. And now we have them, not all of them, but most of them in AC as well. So it's really just amazing to see. And even if you check the racing missions now, you find XGR written in there.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, is completely unheard of a gaming company to do. It's one thing to, listen to your community, which is already more than most people do, and most companies do, but to actually incorporate as a flagship thing in game, that's just insane.
Yeah, you don't see it often where the developers will actually include the community like permanent fixtures.
Yeah, no, I actually don't know of any. I guess Elite Dangerous did a thing where there's this race, the Buckyball, which is an SRV race, that little sand dune buggy that you have in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They put like ads, like billboards, into the stations of that, but nothing more than that, which is still cool.
Yeah.
It's recognition, but that's like the only thing that I can think of.
So, like, thinking about all of that, right? What future do you see for the racing scene in Star Citizen? Do you think that we'll get like a full-on esport out of it, like people coming to watch people race? Or do you think it's going to be something that just stays inside the group of Star Citizen players?
I think it will stay in our own realms. I mean, it's a niche game, and racing is a super niche thing inside a niche game,
Mm-hmm.
And at least this might be a hot take, but I hope it just stays like this, because the moment you start incorporating esports, in the sense of like actually paid racers like employees and big halls and shit, things go sideways. It's not a good thing for the general community of people that tries to just enjoy the game. And a good example of this would be League of Legends. I really don't want to get into detail on that game, but esports has done nothing good for it. But yeah, there's also that it takes a very special kind of person to race in Star Citizen, to put yourself through all that time spent on the track and the frustrations that come with racing. It's kind of a madman's profession, I guess you could say.
Which pilots do you like to watch or admire or look up to, and why would you name those specific guys?
Well, to be totally honest, I really don't watch anyone. I don't watch Star Citizen content in general. I kind of just like to experience the game for myself. I will watch the occasional like news video or podcast or something.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I will watch some, time trial runs of few people that are, good at it, to kind of get better myself, which is something everyone should do. But yeah, it's just...
You like to have the experience for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are some people, obviously worth mentioning, that, really hone their craft and put their time in, like people like Boltok, who is actually like an enigma. He really doesn't show up a whole lot, or, be like a socially active person in the community, but he's like blazing fast. He's so quick. And then obviously there's Splan, Shaknu, but people who I actually look up to would be probably those who actually, contribute most to these communities, like Diplomat from SCR, Steve CC, obviously our founders, Black Maze and the Sashas, but yeah, there's not much. I kind of just like doing my own thing.
100%. I totally get that. When it comes to brand new racers or even beginner players, is there like a track And a ship that you would say this is where you guys should start out?
Well, let's talk about where to start and then what I actually recommend. So now that we have racing in Arena Commander, I definitely recommend people to first start out with like a Razor, just rent one, and go hit up the Snake Pit, which is in the gravity well of the moon, Cleo. But it has really low atmosphere. There is still some, but it's kind of its own category. Like, let's just call it, the moon type. And then from there on, actually, what's a cool let's say Icebreaker. Then hit up Icebreaker. That's also a moon, but it has a comparable atmosphere to an Earth-like, like New Babbage or Orb. And familiarize yourself with your ship. If you can, let me go back on that a bit. So maybe the best thing you can actually do, instead of getting into a Razor immediately, I know it's gonna sound weird, but try it in an Aurora. It's actually a really cool little racing ship. It has a lot of lift. It has like 4 wings, which do actually work. It kind of feels like a Razor, just slower, but you can, since it is slower, you get less, G's from overboosting and stuff. You can optimize your lines much more, and you will notice when you lose time much more. So often optimizing a slower ship will benefit you greatly when you hop into another one that's actually faster. And once you're familiar, you don't blow up every turn, every race, go and hop into the PU and go to Lorville Outskirts. That's in Hurston. It's in a 1G environment. It's in proper atmosphere. And just haul Esther until you get platinum times at least. And then go up to the Snake Pit, go down to Skyscraper, and then just go anywhere there from where you want. For 0G, I'm not really at home with vacuum racing. I think I would recommend still, just choose one of the space tracks like Miner's Lament. Don't actually try to run it first. Just try to get familiar with how you overspeed, when to dial back on your throttle, because it's a very different beast. And with the new G-loading changes, it's gotten a lot harder as well. But when you get into the PU, I think you should go to Covalex Circuit as a starter. Covalex, that's actually a track that's made around Everest Harbor, above Hurston. And I think the ship that I would recommend for that is the P-72.
I've noticed a lot with the Arena Commander, like I'm okay on some of the tracks, but as soon as we go into the 0G tracks, I just fly everywhere. Can't stop myself.
Yeah, so I see this misconception going on around online, I think mostly from people that don't even play. There's no proper physics in this game. That's complete bullshit. There's lift and the drag simulated in this game, and it's once you decouple, the key is decoupling. Do not run races in coupled. I know it's hard. You will crash a lot, but the benefits are huge, and the control you get, that fine control over your ship, is impossible to get in coupled mode, because the way that works is, even if you have sticks or a controller, as long as you're in coupled mode, all of your analog inputs become pretty much digital. It works like pushing your speed limiter bar up and down. You're not actually giving thrust to your ship, you are telling it what speed do you want to go at, and then it full throttles to that speed. With all that simulated, for example, the P-72 actually acts a lot like an airplane in atmosphere. It's a very, very light ship, and its wings have a lot of lift, so it can, really utilize that. And when you go into a turn, the faster you go with the P-72, the more it's going to grab into the air it's going to generate a lot of lift for you, so it makes turning a lot easier and faster. It's kind of like it puts itself on rails. But on the other hand, if you slow down with it, it's going to lose that lift and it will feel a lot more slidey. But yeah, each ship, you know, has its own characteristics to it. They are all tuned independently for their atmospheric flight model. That's kind of why Aircool's dataset doesn't really work for determining these things, because all of them are tuned to how the devs want them to feel. They will have a certain atmospheric speed threshold, which is where, you know, they can't go their full 0G speed. They will start to stop at a certain point because of the atmospheric drag. And it also changes depending on, you know, how high you are, on what planet you are. Because let's say Hurston and Microtech is similar in atmospheric pressure. You can read it off of your Mobiglass actually. But like when you go to say Horizon or ArcCorp, the air is thinner there, and you can feel that, especially like in Razor. Like with the Razor, you will notice that you're drifting out a lot more in your turns. It's already like a pretty drifty ship. That's why it's kind of good for starters. It lets you yaw around, you know, kind of spin it around in a turn without really punishing you. But unlike, you know, like a 350R, you really have to just use your mains and the wings to turn yourself. You can't yaw in a lot of ships because, you know, again, drag is acting on their vertical stabilizers, which I know they might look like they don't have one, but if you would turn on the debug planes for the lift surfaces, what CRG actually does is they put in these invisible lift drag planes to ships to get the proper tuning that they want. So all of those, you kind of, you know, just have to fill it out and learn it for yourself. It's every ship flies differently on every track. There's no two that are the same.
And do you prefer to race in the Arena Commander or the PU?
PU, 100%. I haven't even logged into AC this patch yet. I just don't really care that much. It's great for practicing. I don't do if it will ever replace the PU. You know, it's the Arena Commander is supposed to be your practice grounds, and not just for racing, for everything. That's like literally the goal of that system later on in the game when we are, you know, in beta or release or something. You will be able to enter it through like a, you know, location through a sim pod instead of the main menu like we do now. But yeah, I see a pretty huge future for the PU. It's going to get harder. It already is, I'll say that. I don't know how familiar you are with the plant systems for Star Citizen.
The Death of a Spaceman system.
Well, that's one thing. But I might go off on a little tangent here because it really ties into how racing is going to work. Because that's my vision for it, and that's what's going to result from the plant systems if they fall in place like we think they will.
Yeah.
So, starting with ship insurance, right? Yeah, that's going to cost you money. And you can't just break your ship all over the place like you do now. Well, that's where practicing in AC will come in, but when we start having those PU races, depending on which system, you know, it's going to change drastically. For one, you said Death of a Spaceman. Yeah, you won't be able to respawn just as many times as you want. Matter of fact, you will be scared shitless of dying. And you get maybe like, I don't know, let's say 5, 11, something, an arbitrary number that's not going to be a lot, and where then you will have your reputation reset if you die for real. Every time you die, your DNA is going to degrade you're going to, you know, get your body screwed up. It's not going to look nice for you. So you will be putting your life on the line. Then you will be putting your ship on the line. You will likely have to bring like multiple ships to your race, just in case something happens, because sure, there you might be able to repair it on the spot. You might not. I will come back to that in a second. But you know, if you break your ship, for sure you have to eject or something if it breaks beyond repair, and you're stuck in like a system like Pyro, you might not get your ship claim back for like 12-24 hours, because there's no manufacturing facility in Pyro for them. And even if there are, there will be an economy system where these ships are actually manufactured for real, even if it's just, you know, just a number in the database. There will be a set number of them available to be sent out for claims.
And you just gotta wait your turn.
Yeah, if they're in stock, you can order it. But you know, that will take time to arrive, etc., etc. But if that's out of stock, you will have to actually wait for the manufacturer process to go through. And you know, that might be pretty quick in a system where Mirai has a facility to, you know, manufacture razors. But if you are in nowhere in Pyro, you might not get it for like a day. So yeah, you will have to, I'm pretty sure, bring multiple ships. You will need like a ship to haul your ships, you know, like a Liberator or something, or like a Karak, an Odyssey, whatever. And yeah, there will be the whole team play aspect of it, because it's at that point it's not going to be just racing, right? It's going to be on-site medical facilities like a Kali Red or like an Apollo. You will need SRVs to tow your shipwrecks out of the track. You will have likely salvage guys, you know, who break down your ships and munch them up for, you know, making some profit back out of the lost ships. And it's all that just, you know, plays into it. There will be a lot going on for the PU.
I'm not gonna lie,
it's going to be real fun once it comes.
Yeah, hearing all of this actually makes me so much more excited.
Yeah, right. The AC is cool and all. I think it's more for those who you know, really sweat their balls off. It's for those very competitive people, and it's going to be really good tool to run some casual quick races. But the big events will definitely be happening in the PU.
I'm actually really excited for that. I think it's gonna be such an amazing time.
Yeah, we will of course get some, you know, like I said before, ship tuning. We can swap out our thrusters. I hope to God we get something more in depth, like, you know, actually tuning your map strengths.
Yeah.
Thrust output, like heat management. There could be a lot going on there. And that's going to be, you know, a whole other aspect, because then people will be tuning their ship specifically for that race, for that track. It's just really, really, really deep.
It's actually really exciting. I'm pretty excited for that.
I hope it comes sooner than later, but at the same time, I hope they take their time with it and, you know, as good as possible.
Maybe we'll get to see our kids play.
Well, maybe not that long. Please. Chris, please.
If you had to name one track, like either from the website or from Arena Commander or SCR or wherever, as the hardest track in the game, like the hardest thing to race, what would it be?
Wait, hardest race or hardest track?
Both.
Hardest track, Green Prospect. It's a 0G track. It's loops around Grim Hex. it's very twisty and very
Mhm.
disorienting. Though I would say it's one of those tracks that is a lot harder to learn than to master. Because once it clicks, it's pretty fun. But oh my god, you turn your ship so many ways. That place looks every corner kind of looks alike. You get lost all the time. It took me like at least 2 hours just to get from A to B properly. Unfortunately, we haven't had much time on that track lately. I think they might have fixed it this patch. I'll have to take a look because in one of the 0.17 patches they changed how object streaming works in the game, which sadly meant that a lot of locations started having these super heavy stutters because of that bubble getting turned down way too small.
Yeah.
As you were going around the Grim Hacks, you just got these huge stutters because the interior kept getting loaded in and loaded out, and it was just a mess. It happened like everywhere. New Babbage was horrible. Like you got to Aspire Grand, it locked up. You flew above downtown Area 18, it locked up. And it's just so bad because when you lock up, your ship like stays in place for you.
Yeah.
But the other racer, all they will see is that you are going in front of them, and then you are suddenly teleporting back like 100 meters into their face. And, you know, not cool. But yeah, Grim Prospects, it's a cool track. Hopefully we get to actually run it a bit more from now on. As far for race, I don't think there's a specific race. There's not many concurrent races that pop up time and again, other than the Daymar Rally and the Crux Cup. I wouldn't say either of those are hard. They are like endurance races. Crux Cup runs for 1 hour on a very basic NASCAR X wide track on Origin. It's hard in the sense that you kind of have to be the fastest if you want to beat the rest of the group, and you have to dodge a bunch of people because everybody runs it in all of the classes at the same time.
Oh wow! So it doesn't go one class. They just say, okay, everybody in your ships and go.
No. There are multiple classes for Crux. There's the Herald, which is the fastest. And there's AX1, which is like the faster racing ships, and there's like AX2 and 3. They are like separated into their own performance groups, so to say, and then there's the Aurora Division 2. It's worth mentioning, by the way, that Crux Cup is they're called NZR Racing now.
Yeah,
they do more stuff now. They run this database graph that's on ships' atmospheric performance, so where you can actually check out in Origin's Atmo at the same level each ship what's their maximum top speed and maximum boosted speed, which is super useful. But yeah, I went off topic. What was the original question?
We were talking about the hardest race.
Yeah, they are all running at the same time, so this race is 1 hour. And it's a rolling start, and you have like the faster guys in the front, and as you go back, you start going towards the slower guys. And then there's also a class for like huge ships, which is like Reclaimers, 890s, which can maybe do like 4 laps in that hour. They're super freaking slow. And yeah, I just imagine running in like a Herald at full speed, and then this Reclaimer is taking up the whole platform space in the tunnel, and oh my god, I had to lap that guy a few times. And then you have these smaller ships in the way too that you don't see until they are close, and when they are close, oh my god,
it can be too late.
It can be too late, and the party markers are there for sure when they work, but you don't always notice the distance marker on it closing down. It's sketchy. It's not a hard race, but it's really sketchy and dangerous. And the Day
Are they-
Morelli, I haven't actually participated in yet. I don't think I ever will. I say I'm not a fan of Atmo events. I'm not really a fan of how they run their events either. I don't want to talk shit, but I'll say that. Yeah, I'm not going to run a buggy
Yeah.
on Tamar for 10 hours straight. Hell no. No, thank you. Whoever wants to do that, let's hear Steve CC, Shockney, and who was the other person? Data Machine? I'm not sure. Yeah, they run the truck division, and they came in first, but from what I heard, I would not repeat that. I don't think they want to either. They did have some cool stories to tell, but man, no.
So are there any races or events that you're looking forward to before the end of 2023, or something that's coming up that happens annually that you definitely want to do again or do for the first time?
Well, it's pretty late into the year now, so as far as I know, there will be nothing big happening from now on for the rest of this year. With the recent changes to the exhibition races at XGR, I'm sure something cool will pop up in November, though. I know that Black Star Legion is cooking up something cool. We might see about that. There is a race I'm literally looking forward to, actually. Steve is holding an exhibition event at the end of this month for the cutters at Snake Pit. That's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to that too, actually, I gotta admit.
Yeah, you definitely should come. Thing with the cutter, is it has that sweet VTOL, and you can toggle that mid-turn and really utilize that. So it's like a whole different aspect of racing. We have done a smaller race at Horizon that was specifically made for this. It's super tight. It's like nothing like an actual racetrack that you look at right now in AC or on the PU. It's like, those cargo crates that are on the platforms, and there's on that little, like, they have like roads that you can drive on. It's there, and you have to go below the boxes, so you don't have really any wiggle room. You have to be careful not to hit your engine on something or overspeed. You can overspeed with the car there, believe it or not. Pretty badly too.
I can just see myself being a ping pong ball.
Yeah, that's kind of what people look like. I do have a video up on that on YouTube too. It's called the Drake Cutter Exhibition Race or something. You can find it. It's like 10 minutes. It's pretty sweet.
I'm definitely gonna go and check that out after this, actually.
Yeah, there were a lot of collisions. People just we had this one guy, I don't remember who, but right before the finish line he hit his side engine on one of the crate corners, and he, like, oh god, it was so cool, he started spinning out, hit the floor, and then bounced back up through the finish line and stayed alive. So dude, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I really hope we get next year the Stanton Cup back in some form, which is probably gonna be more like the Pyro Cup or something. I hope. We better get something at this SitCon, I swear to god. But yeah, we don't have anything annual next year right now, other than, the anniversary.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me today, man.
For sure, man. Thanks for inviting me.
I got one final question.
Go on.
Where can people find you, the organization you're a part of, and your content?
So you can pretty much find me all the time, anytime, on the XGR Discord. Alternatively, you could just DM me on Discord if that's what you fancy. My name is Speedbeat with the first two E's being threes. For XGR, if you want to join, the link is discord.gg/XGR, simply like that. Or racexgr.com. And for my channel, I upload from time to time some content to YouTube under the same name. I pretty much just do some like edits with some music and stuff for races, you know, or some other ongoing events like formation flights, or a lot of hooning content there. I mostly just make this for fun for myself and, you know, for archiving some memories and the community to show off what's really going on over here. And yeah, that's it. I have nothing else.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time today, dude.
Yeah, thanks a lot for, you know, bringing me in here. It was fun. It was good talking to you.
Oh, maybe we can do it again sometime.
Sometime, yeah. Shit me up. I'm not going anywhere.
And that's that, listeners. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had an absolute blast speaking with Speedweed. Comment below and let me know who else you'd like me to speak to. Or you can go and watch the other interviews that I've done. There's also some tutorials and all kinds of content coming up. So make sure you're subscribed with the little bell ticked on. And I'll see you guys next time. Farewell, citizens.